If you've ever played charades, you know the purpose of the game is to act out a phrase without any verbal communication. In short, you have to show, don't tell. Coincidentally, that's the same rule for filmmaking.
Is that so?
Films are like other narrative mediums. They're stories with plots, structure, and themes. But at the end of the day, it's a visual medium.
Don't tell me, show me. After all, a motion picture should be visual.
But how do you translate the entire meaning of a film visually? To answer this, we're going to play our own game of charades.
First word.
It's color. Every film has a color palette, and the choices that filmmakers make when it comes to this palette enhance the tone of the film. In Middle of Nowhere, the protagonist Ruby is dealing with life after her husband is incarcerated.
Don't stop for me.
Most of the film has a warm orange-yellow hue to it, but look at the difference once we enter Ruby's apartment. Whenever we enter this place, we see a dark space that is washed in blues and deep purples. This is a statement. Her personal space is treated completely different aesthetically. It's conveying an emotion by setting a tone through the use of color. Don't believe me? Well, look at this same scene with a warmer tone. You can see the difference, but you can also feel it. A simple choice in color can guide an audience to a conclusion about a scene or character. However, that's just one facet, which brings us to our second word. Framing. Much goes into the construction of not only a set, but how the frame is composed. A basic principle used in filmmaking and photography alike is called the rule of thirds. The theory is that by dividing an image into 9 parts and placing points of interest in the intersections, the image becomes more balanced and the viewer can interact with it more naturally. Framing is all about drawing the viewer's eyes to a focal point. Where you draw the audience's attention can allow them to make inferences about a scene. This is a normal apartment by any other standards. However, Ruby's surroundings are often out of focus, diffused, or her sightlines are blocked. By constantly drawing the viewer's eyes to the obstructed points of view, DuVernay makes a statement about Ruby's inability to see her own future. Finally, DuVernay elicits one last tactic in her visual translation: editing.
Editing gives a film its sense and continuity, so that it can tell its story clearly. Good editing keeps a film interesting.
Editing is the only means by which a film can transcend its own time. It can go forwards or backwards. A common stylistic choice DuVernay makes involves a technique called temporal frequency. Simply put, it's the repetition of story events. Her stories deal with grief and loss, and characters often start the film held in place by a defining moment that has preceded the film.
5 years with good time.
This event is slowly and sporadically revealed through flashbacks over the span of the entire film. In Ruby's home, time moves slower, but even the flashbacks are stylized, often played in slow motion. The deeper and more complex the story gets, the slower and more stagnant Ruby's space is treated. All of these aesthetic choices come to a head when the flashback is revealed in its entirety. The moment that Derek is arrested is slowly revealed in bits and pieces over and over to drive home the feelings of grief. As Ruby constantly replays the event, the past impedes on the present, and all the film's themes come colliding together with few, if any, words or dialogue. Time slows down, color sets the tone, and the relationship of the two is placed full and close up within the frame. No one says "I love you" here. Ruby doesn't say she's stuck in the past. And she doesn't say how this has all affected her. We just see it. And by making these few conscious creative choices, the rule of show, don't tell is accomplished. So the next time you watch a film, don't just get lost in what's being said. After all, proof isn't just in words, it's in action. So look for the moments where more is being said without saying anything at all.
Here's your card, Greg. Taking a Peter the Wolf. Yeah, it looks like a Peter Wolf from Maywood, California. Frank should get this. You're in. You people get this. We get this one. Proper? Proper? 6 words. First word. No. Second word.